We're on a test drive in an early JK with an LS. We've done this combination many times before, so we're not going to talk too much about it in depth. But let's just say it has all of our latest technology, including the MoCan module, easy billet brackets, and easy engine mounts. And what we're going to talk about in this video is the direction that we went in versus what else is out there. Most of you probably know we were the originator of the functional LS-JK swap many years ago. And since then, a lot has transpired. We have stayed true to emissions compliance, and we're moving in a direction of keeping everything as OE as we can. Yes, we are working towards 50 state compliance, and part of that has to do with how we execute the swap. We're using factory GM harnesses, which have many advantages. Not only can you replace this harness if you damage it, but it has all the circuits that you need to not only stay safe, but for emissions compliance, misfire detection, failure modes, etc. We're using plug-and-play components now, so that we're not modifying the harness like we used to in the old days. We're using easy engine mounts that bolt in. Therefore, you're not cutting, drilling, grinding, hacking, welding on the frame. This is important in some countries where fabrication is not allowed. There's many ways that you can do this swap, and going with a hand-built harness or weld-in mounts or an accessory drive that's OE to the engine but doesn't quite fit or has conflicts with the installation is not the way we want to go. There's many benefits. One, you have OE reliability when you're using all factory components. Two, you can purchase components right over the dealer parts shelf. You blow an AC line or your power steering line pops a leak, you can just go to the dealership, buy a new one, and throw it on. You're not worried about running around trying to get a custom line made. Working with the emissions labs in several states like California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Massachusetts, Colorado, we're finding more and more emissions are being stepped up. Many of the labs now, I talked to Colorado recently, are using what's called CVNs, calibration verification numbers, and they're comparing the US EPA data we've talked about, and if they don't match, you don't pass. So you've got a lot to worry about in the future with emissions. You have not only meeting the standard, but you have tampering, functional testing, 2 and 3 gas, dynamic testing, sometimes NOx testing, which is a dyno. So getting back to the direction that we're going in versus the market, we're bringing the LT to the market, not only for the JKs, but for the new JLs and the JTs, which is the truck version of the JL. This is going to be the future. In order to remain emissions compliant, you need to run an engine that is basically the same year or newer than your chassis from the same gross vehicle weight rating or lighter. What this means is in the new JLs and the JTs, you're going to have to go with an LT and not an LS. Now there's other choices out there like Hemis, superchargers, turbochargers, but let me just say this. The LT is going to be a game changer with high compression. We're talking in excess of 11-to-1 compression. I believe the L86 is 11.5-to-1 compression, running on regular gas. And when you compare that to, let's say, an LS3 with the high 10s and running on premium gas, that's a huge difference. We're using continuous variable valve timing, which boosts bottom end torque tremendously. We're using direct injection for more cylinder efficiency. Combine all this together with 6, 8, and 10-speed transmissions, and I really feel we're entering the golden age of these engine conversions, where we're going to have better drivability with better economy and lower emissions. In addition, we're going to have better performance. If you take an L86 with a couple of slight mods, you can be putting out close to 500 horsepower, but that engine will still tick over at 500 to 600 RPM. Y'all know what a LS3 does with a 500 horsepower cam in it. It's rump, it's blowing out hydrocarbons, it's burning your eyes. We're seeing performance better than the LS3 with an engine that can run on regular gas and idle like a stalker. This is the technology that we're going to bring to the market, and it's going to be a game changer in my opinion. Now the LTs are not fully rationalized, but I think they're getting close. We've been doing these swaps for over a year. Our JL LT runs awesome. We're going to be doing some road tests and videos on that, and we're going to bring a lot of that to SEMA if you guys want to check it out. In the meantime, we're still supporting the Gen 4 swaps, which is still a very viable swap. The Gen 4 engines have a lot to offer. They're low cost, they're high performance, they're readily available, and they are probably the best supported engine in the world right now in the aftermarket for tuning and dealer support, performance parts, etc. We're we're taking the Gen 4 kit to a different level with Overland Performance. John Schumacher at Overland Performance has joined us. He's been associated with us for a lot of years, and he's going to bring the Gen 4 swap to a different level, adding more components. He's making custom CNC machine enclosures for the electronics. He's using OE hardware that will stand up to the harsh environments on the East Coast. He's looking at every detail. To give you an example, in the new Gen 4 kit, we're even going to supply the 3 bolts that are required to split the transfer case so you can put the input gear in. That's the attention to detail he's using. We're laser cutting the brackets, and they're going through a 3-stage coating process, ending up with a powder coat that will last even if you're on Daytona Beach with salt water. These brackets are going to hold up in the long run. So we're going to be bringing our Gen 4 technology, our Gen 5 technology, and our JL technology to SEMA this year, and I think it will become clear the direction we have chosen to go in using OE components and getting away from the custom hot rod components is not only what the authorities want to see for emissions compliance, but if you look at the performance of the modern OE vehicles, if you look at the Z06 and the ZL1 Corvette and Camaro, it's just amazing what they can put out compared to what we had just a few years ago. So we're taking advantage of that, and it's going to get to a point where running the old technology engines, whether it's a Hemi or an LS or even a V6, is just not going to be able to compete with this new technology.